Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It is Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025, and on Wednesdays we talk about emotional well-being and relationships. What's the single, simplest, and most direct way to change the world? That is, to improve the world in some way or another. The answer is simple: by changing yourself. And I don't mean a radical change. These tend to be quite difficult and take much longer. Rather, by making small changes in your daily life. Identify some aspect of yourself, or your thinking, or your habits, or even your living situation that you'd like to improve. And then call the resources at your disposal to find the best information available. Whatever it is that might help you embark upon this journey of change. And start with the positive. That is, start by identifying and listing those things that you like about yourself and your strengths or your abilities. And once you've written down or maybe typed in those ideas, think about what you might like to change. Be honest with yourself. You know you're not perfect. So if you're unable then to come up with something concrete or something specific, then perhaps you can consult someone else that you trust. And then identify some options and hopefully strategies that you can apply to your own situation to get you started. And it doesn't have to be anything major. You can just start with something quite simple and be as specific as possible. So for example, it might be something like, I'd like to cut down on my coffee drinking in the morning, or in my case, my penchant for wanting to consume an ice cap each morning on the way into the office. And so once you've taken that first step and you've achieved even a modicum of success, then you can build upon that and start tackling bigger or more complex issues. The key is not that you've made some earth-shattering change right away, or you somehow quit smoking cold turkey or what have you. Rather, you want to show yourself that you can actually have some success in making a change. In other words, you want to build your confidence first. Convince yourself that A, you're capable of identifying something that you'd like to change about yourself. B, you've got enough energy and motivation to get started. C, you've proven to yourself that you can be successful even with a small change. And D, you're then ready to take on a bigger challenge. So let's start right now, literally. All right. So first, remind yourself of who you are. Who are you? What is your name? I know that sounds trite, sounds simplistic, but yeah, who are you? And then if you have a mission statement or a purpose in life, think of that, recite that. Or as I've said in other vlogs, make sure you at some point create such a personal mission statement. Again, that helps you to identify and situate or ground yourself in terms of who you are and where you are and what you'd like to do with your life. And this doesn't have to be overly deep and profound, but you got to start somewhere. Use this grounding as the place where you'd like to start. And again, start with the positive. Remind yourself of your strengths, of your abilities, of what you like about yourself. And then I'd like you to be able to ideally immediately, without thinking, if you will, be able to, list off 3 or 4 or 5 different things that immediately come to mind when you think of yourself, who you are, and what you genuinely value and like about yourself. Okay? Okay. And again, be honest. We all have admirable qualities, different abilities, things that we do really well. And this is for your own personal consumption and self-confidence. And because we have some self-respect and belief in ourselves, we can then be equally honest in our self-appraisals and identifying those things, or at least some things that we'd like to change about ourselves. So what would you like to change? Again, pick something pretty simple for starters. There may be other things, but start with something simple. And I actually did this yesterday. And yes, I did focus on the ice cap issue. I decided I'd lapsed in my habit of eating a healthy breakfast and avoiding the ice caps, at least for a couple of months. was working desperately to try to finish a book. That's my excuse. But anyway, but here's what I've chosen to do specifically. I'm focusing on having a healthy breakfast each morning and avoiding the ice caps. And that's not that hard. I mean, in the sense that I really love breakfast and I can very quickly throw one together that's healthy. The challenging part is the ice cap. So I'm not going to buy the ice caps, at least until Friday. Okay. So Friday is going to be the day that I'm going to indulge my ice cap habit. I'm going to argue that I've earned that by sticking to the plan all week. How about if you do the same? Again, find something very specific, whether it's dietary or some other small change that you can make, like immediately, if you will. And then that'll help you move in the direction of self-improvement. Again, however small that might be. And if it's not dietary, can you get up 15 minutes earlier each day so that you can meditate or pray or somehow get focused for the day? Can you take a 15 to 20 minute walk on your lunch break or after work or at some point during the day to help get the blood flowing, to help start that cardio building up again? Or maybe you could start with a light routine of stretching or abdominal work or something else that gets you physically active. What about signing up to use Duolingo to practice a second language? My wife's been doing that for a couple of years with French. It's good. You can do these lessons in like 5 or 10 minutes. Or maybe you could commit to building in a some kind of tutorial session online for some other subject, just as a refresher or because you want to learn something new. Again, just a 5 or 10 or 15 minute, sort of cognitive workout to get yourself started. What about your interest in painting or music or sewing or dancing or some other hobby? Can you commit to building in a short session each day to jumpstart your interests? Or what about reading? Have you lapsed? Have you not been reading for a long time? What about setting aside 15 minutes each evening before you go to bed and committing to reading something interesting or informative, whatever? And so on. So all of these suggestions then are positive and behavioral in nature. And they've been intentionally designed, or I'm specifically suggesting these precisely because of that. These are all things that you could commit to doing on a regular or daily basis. And to make it even easier, make sure you pick something that you'd really like to do to improve yourself in some small way. And then once you've done that, you're well on your way to building a new and healthier habit of some kind or another. And that works directly to your own benefit. And guess what else? You'll be well on your way then towards changing and improving the world. Wait, what? How's that? Well, the point is that you'll be not only obviously you're going to first be benefiting directly from your efforts at self-improvement. And again, I'm not even talking about getting into the really big stuff that you might like to eventually change in your lives. But as I say, start with the small stuff as I've just described, and you'll immediately see some changes in yourself. You'll have a healthier biochemical reaction as you bathe yourself in this newfound habit, newfound success. Your brain and your hormones will respond favorably. You'll actually feel better and better about yourself. So here's a simple example, right? You remember the old adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away? Well, I decided to try that. I'm not really an apple lover as such. I mean, I don't mind them. They're good. I mean, very sweet. I guess some people love them. But then I came up with a simple strategy. How can I make myself eat an apple a day? Well, whenever I go for my daily workout, especially my daily runs, and regular members know that I'm doing this while dribbling a basketball for, again, reasons I won't get into today. But basically what I do is I consume an apple beforehand or right at the outset of the daily workouts. And it's a win-win situation, right? That is, I know that the apple both helps me during the workout, but then also has these longer term benefits as well. In addition, what else happens when you start feeling better because you're sticking to a plan, because you've made some small, healthy change? Well, in most cases, you start taking on a more positive and optimistic attitude about life in general. You'll often find yourself thinking more optimistic thoughts in general, and then by the same token, rejecting or not even entertaining the more negative thoughts. You'll start having a bit more energy as well. And if given the opportunity, you may just start then to use that energy in more creative and productive ways. And suddenly, the world seems a little brighter. You feel a little bit more confident and competent about what you can do in this world. And hopefully then you'll have a more energetic and enhanced capacity then to act purposefully in other spheres of your life. And so by doing that, you'll almost certainly find yourself reaching out to others, and not just in your own immediate family or social network, but perhaps even beyond your immediate circle. And now you're really starting to change and improve the world. Okay? So that's it in a nutshell. Short and sweet today. I'm keeping it that way intentionally too, so that you can use the extra few minutes now to get started, to do this little exercise. Okay? So do it. Literally, remind yourself who you are, identify some strengths, some positives, things that you really like about yourself, and then try to identify something very specific, something small that you'd like to try to tackle this week, right away, something you'd like to change. And as I say, ideally make it something more behaviorally focused as such. Then come up with a plan, stick to it, and see how it goes. And as I say, literally even within the first week, you'll start seeing a difference. And then if you can build on that week after week, wow, it really starts to accumulate like compound interest. Okay, so let's get started. Let's do it. In the meantime, as ever, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance. Ciao for now.